Stand firm in the faith. That's what Paul says at the end of 1 Corinthians. He says, be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong, do everything in love. Last week, we talked about being on our guard. Today, this week, we talk about standing firm in the faith. One of the things that makes our faith in Christ very strange is that we are a people who believe in a person that we've never seen. Now, Peter had the upper hand in this. Peter was, he spent 3 years in face-to-face, constant interaction with Jesus. And so when he writes First Peter, it's almost like he's thinking back to that moment where doubting Thomas was like, unless I see the resurrected Jesus, unless I can put my finger in his wounds, I don't believe. And so Jesus shows up post-resurrection. Thomas literally puts his finger in the side of Jesus where he's wounded. And Thomas is like, my Lord and my God. And then Jesus says, blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. The thing that gets Christians sort of tangled up is that we easily start to see Jesus as a philosophy, as a way of life, merely a way of life, not a person. And so that works out for us when we're reading the Bible with a checklist mindset, or I did my workout and I had my breakfast, I had my quiet time, and then I went to work, and then so it's like one of the things that we do. And no doubt, living by biblical principles or even taking time to self-reflect, that's good. But if we're missing the interaction with a person, it's only a philosophical construct. And so these words from 1 Peter that I'm about to read are extraordinarily helpful. Listen to what he says. He says in verse 8 of 1 Peter chapter 1, though you have not seen him, referring, of course, to Jesus Christ, you love him. And even though you do not see him now, you believe in him and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy, for you are receiving the end result of your faith, the salvation of your souls. And that's the word of the Lord. That's part of what makes Christianity become philosophical. We aren't interacting with Jesus face to face, like in person. He's not here. He's above. And yet we also know, because of these scriptures and because of the eyewitnesses and because of the long history of faith, that throughout the ages, there have been people like you and I who have a living, thriving relationship with Jesus, this one that we cannot see with our eyes, and yet we see all the time when it comes to the things that he's doing, the things that he's redeeming, the things that he's healing, the way that he's loving us, filling us, nurturing us, challenging us, helping us to grow. It's an actual relationship. Prayer is a conversation with God. And we understand prayer conceptually, but the missing element is faith. Do we really believe in this one that we have not seen? So I was thinking about that this morning, like, well, what is it that stops this from just being philosophy or a fairy tale? Well, besides the fact that I personally have experienced him, it's also, you think about the experience of hearing about Jesus and then encountering him for yourself, not just being familiar with Jesus, but actually knowing him. And I would liken it to this. We were in town, Ann Arbor, Michigan, last week, and we needed to go someplace good to eat. We were super hungry. We needed food. Well, there are endless restaurants in Ann Arbor, many good ones, but not all of them are created equal. And so we go to Google Maps and we say, restaurants open near me. And it points out this place that we'd never heard of. It looks kind of shady, honestly, but the reviews are immense, like 4.8 out of 5 stars. People are raving about the menu and the experience and the setting and the service and all that. So we're like, okay, let's try it. We've never been there. Let's check it out. We go, we're at the restaurant. The food selection is amazing. The quality is superb. And then a strange thing happened. I go and I sit at the table with the rest of our food. It was one of those things where you order at the counter and then take it to this outside courtyard thing, very Ann Arbor. And Brittany says, look over there. Look at that guy. And I look over at him and I'm like, that looks like Mark Bernstein. Mark Bernstein is an attorney. He's on billboards, commercials. Now he's a regent at the U of M. I think he's running for office. I don't know. But Brittany, growing up, loved law and worked with a lawyer for a while, so she knows that world. She's like, no, that is Mark Bernstein. She's like, I am so excited. I can't believe he's here. I'm fangirling. And I'm like, what in the world? What is the draw of Mark Bernstein? And so he's walking past our table and she's like, I'm going to say something. And she's like, excuse me, are you Mark Bernstein? And he goes, yes, I am. And he spends like 10 minutes with us, talking with us and Cam. And there's a picture of Brittany and Mark Bernstein, her celebrity crush of lawyerdom. And it was a great experience. So it's very interesting how, we went from like being unfamiliar to reading about it to then experiencing it for ourselves. And the fact that Mark Bernstein was there was just an added bonus. But the point is this: the reviews were true. It was real. We actually experienced something great. And so now we would say, hey, go to this restaurant. It's awesome. And it'll look a little shady when you walk in. You won't even be sure if you belong. Yet it will be an incredible experience. We're another eyewitness to the beauty and the glory of this restaurant. That we met a person is even better. Can't guarantee there will be any celebrities there, but you never know. And so what we do as human beings is we have to have this personal encounter with Jesus. Until we have that personal encounter where we ourselves experience him, we will never know this inexpressible and glorious joy that Peter's talking about. This is something that happens internally because of our relationship with a real person, Jesus. Though we haven't seen him, we know him and we love him. And his presence in our hearts actually fills us with an inexpressible and glorious joy. It's beyond words. Like, I love Jesus so much. He loves me. He loves you. But until you experience Jesus, until you read the reviews and look at the history and actually open your heart and say, all right, Jesus, here I am. I believe that you're real. Help my unbelief. He does that. It's incredible what happens when we actually explore this and pursue it on our own for ourselves. Jesus meets us right where we're at, and he takes us to a place that cannot be described, this relationship with Jesus, because in the end, we get the result of our faith, which is the salvation of our souls. That's something that a philosophical construct and a fairy tale could never do. So don't just hear what I'm saying and go, oh, that's nice. Take time right now to actually pursue Jesus right where you're at and say, Jesus, here I am. I want to know you. I want to love you. I want to trust you. I want you in my life. I want you running the show. And you will see, by his grace and mercy, exactly what I'm talking about. That's RadCast.